What's going on, guys and gals? Kendall here with Renos for Pros and Joes, back with the next installment of the Master Bathroom Remodeling Series. In the previous video, I took you guys along with me as I installed the Master Bathroom vanity lights and gave you guys some tips and insight to doing these type of projects. Today I'm going to be painting the interior doors with an airless sprayer. And as you see me here preparing to do that process, I have taken the doors out of the bathroom and I'm currently drilling holes in the top so that I can easily install my stir sticks that will allow me to lean the doors against this vertical wall beside me without having to damage or affect the paint that's going to be applied to both sides of the door. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some insight on the process as well as some tips for painting interior doors with an airless sprayer. However, I do want to say that painting doors with an airless sprayer is not something that should be attempted by everyone. If you haven't used an airless sprayer before, you should not take on this task on a whim without knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into. Painting with an airless sprayer adds a lot more steps to the setup and preparation before you paint, as well as the paint cleanup and equipment cleaning phases of the project. Spraying with an airless sprayer provides a superior finish, and when it's practical, an experienced person can apply the paint very quickly. But understand that the application of the paint is only one part. For a job like this, the setup and cleanup will commonly take substantially longer than it takes to actually paint the doors. For example, cleaning out the sprayer once I'm done here with painting can easily take me 20 to 25 minutes by itself. Now you're seeing I'm beginning to start the sanding process. I'm going to go over the front and backs of each one of these doors as well as the edges on the sides, tops, and bottoms. This is going to help remove any type of grit that may be left behind from an old paint job where they may have painted over some dust and things like that to help ensure that I'm going to have as smooth a finish as possible. Now before you do anything else, make sure that you have a clean and clear work area. This is a major factor that can often be overlooked when using an airless sprayer, but it's extremely important because the paint is going to be applied at a very rapid pace, and the user is going to have to pay very close attention to where the paint is going and how it looks when it hits the subject. This step takes high levels of concentration, and at the same time you're going to be doing this, you'll have to be able to walk and move around at a pretty quick pace as well. Because walking and moving around with the sprayer will be secondary to the application of paint, you need to make sure that there are no obstacles or as few obstacles as possible in your walking path. Tripping over something that has been left in the way or too close to the work area can easily happen during this time period. I also recommend stretching before you begin this process because it's going to be relatively physical. You're going to have to carry the doors to the location where you're going to be painting them, which will require the use of your shoulders, arms, and back. For the project that I'm working on right now, I'm moving around hollow core doors. If you're going to be moving solid core doors, you may want to enlist a second set of hands to get the doors to the paint area and transport them back for reinstallation. Stretching can also be beneficial for paint application because you want to maintain a fluid movement and maintain a consistent distance from the surface of the doors. This means that you'll have to change levels and move up and down from a standing and squatting position to a leaning position multiple times for each side of each door. Another factor that I want to mention when you're going to be painting doors is it's going to be beneficial for you to be able to find a place to paint these doors that is not going to be in direct sunlight. As you can see here, I've got my doors in a kind of shaded area. This helps with the slowing down of the paint drying process. If you've got your doors laying in the direct sunlight, you run a much higher risk of the paint cracking from drying too fast. This is particularly going to be a concern when it's extremely hot outside. I was just showing you guys right there what that paint stir stick looks like when it's installed on the top, and you can see that now the doors are standing off of the wall slightly. I'm just going ahead and getting my holes started in my paint stir sticks before I drill them through and onto the top of the doors there. Okay, that's the last one. Let's go ahead and pull the sprayer out. So as you can see here, I don't have anything anywhere around my plastic that I can trip over, which is one of the things that I was mentioning earlier about your process. And for the record, I have clear plastic that's running up the wall behind these doors, so I'm not just painting with the doors against the siding there on the side of this house. There's plastic up there covering everything. And so now I'm beginning my process here of spraying. So as you see me getting started here, I'm about to start at the bottom and start running this sprayer. I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down to make sure that I've got coverage on the entire door. The next thing that I also want to do is to make sure that I am changing my levels to maintain a consistent distance away from the doors, as I mentioned earlier. As you're painting the doors, you want to constantly be paying attention and looking for any type of imperfections or blemishes on the doors. This could be something from a run in the paint to some type of dust or debris blowing up onto the paint surface. You want to be watching for everything. So now I've got the first side of these doors painted and I'm turning them and spinning them around. As I mentioned before, the process of actually applying the paint when you're spraying doors is the easy part. It's the prep as well as the breakdown of the project that takes all of the time. So it really just kind of depends on how you want to work. If you've only got one door to paint or two doors to paint, and depending on the overall scope of the project, it may be much easier for you to just paint those items by hand. However, it also kind of depends on what the finish level is in the project that you're going to be working on. If you have any type of issues with clogging, you want to make sure that you've got somewhere out there near your paint area to be able to clear your gun. This is something that can and does happen, and you just want to make sure that you're able to clear it and move forward. Also notice that as I am making my passes on these doors with the sprayer, that I am essentially beginning to spray just above my starting point and then bringing my sprayer down just past the bottom point of my range. The reason for this is the gun has a tendency to spit when you press it down, and so you don't want to press the gun down while you're over the surface of what you're going to be painting, because you have a lot more likelihood of creating some type of imperfection in the paint. If you're going to be taking on a project like this on your own, spend the money and buy your own guard and tips. The tip is what controls the pattern and amount of paint that comes out of the spray gun. And this is going to be extremely important when you're going to be painting interior doors, because you're going to want a fine finish. If you're going to be renting your sprayer from a rental shop, be aware that if they do supply a sprayer tip, it's going to more than likely be a general purpose tip, which is not going to be the ideal tip for painting doors like this. We want a fine finish tip that is going to give a light misting of paint. This is going to give us the highest level of finish, and it's also going to make it a lot easier and faster for the doors to dry out. Speaking of drying out, your ears are not playing tricks on you. What you're hearing right now is rain, which brings us to our final tip, which is make sure to check the weather before you begin this process. Hopefully you found this video informative. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.